welcome everybody, and for those of you who are at your first affiliate summit, welcome. This is like my 15th or 14th or 16th presentation. So this one is called the 10 Deadly Sins of Digital Marketing, and my company's called, or the 7, I'm going to keep saying 10. My company's called 10 Golden Rules, and I normally do presentations in 10s, but I figured 7's easier. So, and they shorten the time a little bit, so I'll go pretty quick today. So we're going to talk about the factors of failed campaigns, basically setting up for success, avoiding massive meltdowns, and before we're done, I'm going to give you a really easy strategy for getting kicked off online. And even if it's a company, so many companies struggle with what are we really supposed to be saying, what are we supposed to be doing, what are we supposed to be communicating. And I'm also going to give you an amazing conversion strategy, and you guys are going to become an author if you follow these steps today. So anyone into that? Is that cool? All right, great. Thank you. So the first deadly sin is being the ostrich. And what I mean by that is some people really embrace everything, and some people kind of stick their head in the sand and don't take on this digital stuff. And I think we're really at a point where we realize, hey, we're in the digital era. How many people listen to Gary Vaynerchuk? Gary was a keynote here. Okay, so the right brain people listen to Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary was a keynote here at Affiliate Summit 7 or 8 years ago. I interviewed him on my podcast. I was listening to him this morning, and he was saying, like, hey, this internet thing, in the early days, people were saying it was a fad. They weren't getting into it. But I think now we really know every business is affected by the internet. We can't stick our head in the sand. We've got to get into this stuff. So there's a term called the Luddite. And in the early 1800s, when weaving machines were first coming out, the Luddites were people who were working in these factories in England, and they were destroying the machines, they were destroying the factories. And so the term Luddite is someone who's afraid of technology, or who sort of fights against technology. I think we're losing our feed again. No, that's okay, that's okay. I wanted to talk about 2 different clients of ours. Actually, that doesn't work, Teresa, if you don't mind. So one of our clients is a bit of a Luddite. The CEO doesn't show up at the meetings, so the marketing team doesn't really care. They cancel the meetings sometimes. The CEO doesn't approve a lot of our programs. He doesn't invest in copywriting. Like, he thinks his staff is going to do the copywriting. And he doesn't want to spend any money with us or with an external copywriter. And so, if you're not adding new stuff to your website, you're not going to have a chance for SEO success. You're not going to have a chance for social media. I mean, there's really no magic to some of this stuff. Like, you've got to do it, right? You got to show up at the meeting. So, we've done what we can with the paid advertising, and he gets about 20 new clients a month. He does pretty good, and he's happy with that. Or he's not happy, but he's basically an ostrich. He sticks his head in the sand, doesn't want to improve, doesn't want to do new things. Now, another one of my clients embraces every single thing. And we're like, hey, we're doing, a couple blogs a week. It'd be great if you do a blog, every week or so. And he's like, how about if I wrote one every day? And so this guy, wakes up in the morning, every morning, writes a blog post. And then he says, what else can I do? I'm like, well, it'd be great if you could write an article. And if you could write an article, we could get it posted on an industry website and get a link back to your website. What else can I do? Well, let's do some videos. Oh, okay, so we shot 10 videos. Then he's like, what else can I do? I don't know, let's do 10 more videos. He's like, how about if we do 50? So then he set up a studio in his own company, and he shoots these videos. We search engine optimize the videos. And you see where his business has gone from when we first put analytics on his website. He had 102 visitors up to 10,644. Same thing with his leads. These guys, we got them up to a baseline. They're getting 20, 30, 40 clients a month, probably 100 leads a month, as I said. And this guy's gone from 12 leads up to 403 leads just last month. We had an intern this summer named Becton, and we're co-writing a book called Becton, the Intern's Guide to Digital Marketing. It'll be out in a couple months. We're finishing everything up. But we just had a kind of a going away party because he's going to be in and out over the next couple weeks. And I asked everyone in the office, give Becton some advice. And our most senior guy, our SEO director, said, stay informed. And I think that's really great advice for all of us. The best way to avoid being the ostrich is reading, studying, learning, listening. There's great internet books. My 10 Golden Rules is on this list, but just, search for internet marketing books, digital marketing books. My favorite thing is I'm an audio learner. I love podcasts. So these are some of the podcasts I listen to. I mentioned this morning I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. Great podcast. I was listening to that as well. I walked all the way up to Central Park and back, so I got about an hour and a half worth of audio content this morning. But I'm always learning. Marketing Over Coffee is great. Christopher Penn's a genius. My friend Mitch Joel, 6 Pixels of Separation. I love marketing podcasts. Joe Polish is great. Tony Robbins, can't go wrong. He's the best trainer in the world as far as I'm concerned. And you guys don't miss JB Glossinger, great friend of mine. JB's doing the keynote on Thursday at lunch, I think. And he built his whole business around a podcast called Morning Coach, and he motivates you and does, digital stuff, but business stuff, but mostly it's a motivational podcast. So if you're not, if you're more of a reader, signing up for online blogs and online newsletters. I like Feedly. So just, it's constantly updating stuff. I can get it on my phone. I can read it when I'm waiting. So the first deadly sin is being the ostrich. Sticking your head in the sand, not embracing this stuff, not learning. You should learn something every day. Listening to a podcast for me is great. If you commute to work, get a half an hour podcast in. Listening to Marketing Over Coffee once a week. The 10 Golden Rules, we put out 50 podcasts, and there's great stuff there. Learn something every day, and most importantly, do something every day. Write a blog post every day. Add something to your website. This stuff does great. The next deadly sin is sort of the contrast to this. It's making people think. One of my favorite books in this space on web design by Steve Krug is called Don't Make Me Think. And this really sums up the book right here. Like if you're on a web page and the buttons looks like a button and it's big and orange and clickable looking, you're not making people think when they come to a website. So you got to make it really, really obvious. So, this is a landing page for a lawyer's website, and it says, get a free case review. No cost, no obligation. It's really obvious what we want you to do. Fill out the form in this case, and it works really well in digital, mobile, of course. Everything's got to work really well in mobile. Sean Collins, Sean and Missy, the founders of Affiliate Summit. This is Sean's blog that he's maintained for years. All you really need is a simple blog like this. It's a WordPress blog. Anyone can be their own webmaster. If you don't know that, you can set up a WordPress blog for free. You can find a guy, this is a great tip on a website called Fiverr, Fiverr. Fiverr, for $5, you can get someone to format it for you, make sure it works. So there's no reason, have no fears, no apprehensions of technology. WordPress blog, Fiverr guy to fix it up. You can have your own website, and you can you should point it to your own domain name. So Sean has had affiliate tip for years. Again, really clear. Don't make me think. What does he want you to do? Read his blog, sign up for his newsletter. It's really well designed. And I love the Nike slogan, just do it. Some of this stuff it's gonna take you maybe an hour to figure out how to set up your blog. Maybe you need to spend $5 with the Fiverr guy, but write some content and start doing it if you're not doing it. Now, this is as appropriate for most companies because most companies are not doing it. They don't have that daily blog. They don't have that monthly newsletter set up. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So if you're an individual or if you're a company, we're going to do a very quick exercise here. I want you to spend about 30 seconds. And I want you to write down 1 or 2 of your passions. So if you're doing this exercise for yourself as an individual, I want you to write down a couple things that you might start a business blog about if you were going to want to get some experience with internet marketing or a personal blog, a hobby blog. So this is the kind of thing where, you're the expert. People go to you all the time. You get questions. They're like, I get this all the time. Hey, Jay knows about technology. Go ask him about internet, SEO, and stuff like that. I'm also a tennis player. So, I get questions about tennis, which racket, stuff like that. So I want you to write down 2 or 3 things. Take about 30 seconds and write down, your own personal passions. Something you might, this is the kind of thing you like to read about in your spare time. You like to read other people's blogs. You watch videos in this category. And if you're a business, what's your business's core competency? And you can use that. Okay, normally we take a little bit more time on this, but can I get a couple quick volunteers? What's something you're passionate about that you could write about every day? Great, thank you. What's your name? Gina, thank you. And what's your passion? Fashion and beauty, that's easy to see. And you're already a blogger, okay, great. Someone else? What's your name? Troy? Astrology, that's an awesome one. There's a lot of talk about the moon and the stars. David Meerman Scott's writing a new book. Can I get one from someone? Okay, great. What's your name? Candace? Travel? Perfect. We all want to read about travel. One in the back. Anyone? Passion? Something you like to... What's your name? And what's your passion? Bitcoin. Great one, right? Everyone knows about these virtual currencies. And so that you could really build a business, blogging and having your own website, your own podcast about Bitcoin. Okay, we're going to do one more quick exercise. Sorry about the technology here. One of the easiest ways to get started with this, whether you're a business or whether you're an individual, is if you want to set up a little website, a little sort of home base to get started, is answering questions. Because one of the things that you're going to get most rewarded for today in Google with free search engine traffic is answering questions. Because the way we search has changed. We now ask Siri or we ask Amazon, Alexa, Echo, right? We ask questions. So the way we used to search, we used to put in like search engine tactics or how do you get, now it's more like how do you get ranked on Google? Or Siri, tell me the best way to get my blog post ranked on Google. So we're asking full sentence questions. So what I want you to do is another quick exercise, spend another 45 seconds, 60 seconds, write down a couple questions that you always get asked in your area of passion. What do you get asked about travel? What do you get asked about Bitcoin? What do you get asked about astrology? Okay? So get a couple quick questions down and we'll come back to this exercise. We're going to build on this in a minute, okay? You're just going to hang. And I think you understand the power of this. The power is that if you write a blog post and people are asking like, what are the chances of an asteroid hitting Earth? And, you're the astrology guy or, what are great countries other than France and England to travel to in Europe? And you know the answers to these things and these are the questions people always ask you. If you write your blog post as a question, you write the title of your blog post as a question, you answer the question in the actual blog post, you're setting yourself up for success in Google. And this is the new search engine optimization. Because for years, we were optimizing for single keywords. We were optimizing like travel to Portugal, and very search it. We would use all these tools, and we as this industry, this internet marketing industry, and we jam our blog posts, our articles, our websites full of keywords. But then Google made that a bad thing, and now they're answering questions. So can I get a couple more people to share with us a couple questions? What are the questions you always get asked? A couple more volunteers? Please, what's your name? Hey, Christine, thanks for sharing. What's your passion? CrossFit, awesome. You look fit. And what's some of the questions people are always asking you? Does CrossFit make you bulky? Do you have to be strong to do CrossFit? I want to know the answers. You'll tell me after. I want to know if it makes you less bulky, personally. So, you see how those are great questions people will be asking. Does CrossFit make you bulky? And, we'd go to Siri or we'd go to Amazon Alexa and we'd press the button. We'd say, hey, Siri, does CrossFit make you bulky? Right? One more question. Someone on this side? Volunteer, please. Are you going to volunteer? No, you look like you're ready. No, right in behind. What's your name? Alexandra. What's your passion? Fashion. And what are some of the questions people ask you all the time? Do you think people will care more about making a moral purchase than quality or cost? Hey, Steve. And so that's a really good question. And so it's a little bit unique. And you answer that question as a blog post. Now you've got content on your website, and you've got a chance to be ranked in Google because that's a newer kind of thing that people didn't optimize for 10 years ago. It wasn't a question we were asking 10 years ago. Well, quick round of applause to everyone. Thank you for sharing. I won't be as hard on you. There'll only be one more little exercise, okay? Or two more, but one will be a team exercise. So the problem is when people come to a website, don't make me think, right? Websites designed clean and simple with a call to action. We saw Sean, who's built this great business here, Affiliate Summit, and his website called Affiliate Tip. Very straightforward. It's just a WordPress blog. And the way a blog works is you put your answer to the question, you put a blog post on the blog, you just press publish. Anyone can do it. Anyone can be their own webmaster. It pushes the old blog post down and puts your newest blog post or article at the top of the website. Just do it. Get started with a simple WordPress website. And the content, a great place to start, is, what do people want? They want your expertise. They want to know what it is. They want answers to questions in your area of expertise. Now, here's a little secret. It's called the 95% rule. You don't have to be the world's best guru on CrossFit or travel or fashion to build a following. Anyone can publish today. All you have to do is know more than 95% of the rest of the world. If you know more than 95% of the rest of the world, you've got a massive audience for your content. And if you use this question answering strategy, get started, build a little blog, maybe put a podcast or some other video strategies to support it, you're in business, and the same thing works for businesses as well. Answer your customers' questions every day. The kind of questions your sales force is getting, the kind of questions that are coming into your intake department or your customer service department. Answer questions, harness these questions from, again, sales and your call center, and then write the answers to the questions on your blog. And you're answering the questions people want when they come to your website, because there's the same questions they're asking you on the phone, and you're building great content for the search engines. Okay, the seventh deadly sin or fear is arithmophobia. And this is the fear of numbers. And this is a real problem for a lot of people in digital marketing, because really to be a great digital marketing, you kind of have to master grade 4 math. Okay? And if you can master like grade 4, grade 5 math, you can be awesome at digital marketing. But there's some basic things. So the first thing is get Google Analytics on your website. We still meet businesses today that don't have Google Analytics on their website. Oh boy. So you can set up what's called goals on your website. And you can find out how many people sign up on your website, for your newsletter. How many people purchase your product if you have an e-commerce product. So the basic thing you want to do is know how many people came to your website and how many people took the action you want them to take, right? Don't make me think. Like on Sean's website, there's a simple sign-up form. On some other websites, they want you want to download a white paper. And on like I was talking to the stereo folks here, they're selling headphones and stereo systems, right? So they want to sell a physical product. When you set up your Google advertising campaign, your pay-per-click, Yahoo Bing advertising, Facebook advertising, you want to track conversions. How many people take that action, signing up or buying something on your website? You want to know your local score. We use SEO Moz for that. You want to know your Facebook insights. So there's just some basic numbers that you want to set a baseline, and you can track how you're doing. Now, for those of you who haven't noticed, Google's changed the way they're showing pay-per-click. Remember the ads, we used to call them right-side ads? Well, they're gone completely. So when you do a Google search for something like affiliate programs, Google's now showing 4 ads, 4 pay-per-click ads. You can barely see that it's an ad. There's a little indication there with a green box that says ad, and they look almost identical to the SEO. So there's 4 ads and 10 SEO results, right? That's the Google result. So it looks the same on your desktop as it looks on your phone. Now, when we're doing this is the grade 4 math I talked about. There's really only one very simple critical thing you need to learn to really be a digital marketer, a successful digital marketer. So we're all going to take part in a little math test. And this is a team exercise, okay? But I want everyone to take a crack at it first. So the key thing you need to know as a digital marketer, the real success factor, is what is your cost per conversion? And all your paid advertising. What is your cost per conversion? So if you can divide the amount you spent on like a Google campaign or a Yahoo campaign or a Facebook campaign by the number of leads you got, or if you're selling something like the stereo equipment, the number of sales you got. So everyone take a quick crack at it. Don't worry, I won't call anyone out personally. And you want to fill in the blanks and fill in the totals across the bottom. Okay, we have any math whizzes in the room? Anyone want to volunteer a couple answers? We're not quite done? Great. Perfect. Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, so here's the basic math, right? We're going to divide 2,500 by 150. So we spent $2,500 and we sold 150 pairs of headphones in the speaker example. Or, you know, in Sean's blog, we spent $2,500, 150 people signed up for the affiliate tip or downloaded a white paper or something like that. So if you round it out, it's $17. So Yahoo, Bing, $23. The one mistake a lot of people make is they add these up, but you got to divide it again. So we spent $6,000. We got 395 sales. Our cost per sale was $15. And guys, don't have arithmophobia. This is all you need to know. Grade 4, grade 5, we learned long division here in North America. Might have been a little different. You probably learned earlier in other parts of the world. But you basically need, you know, this is the key number. If you know how much you spent on your advertising and how many leads you got. And of course, if you have an affiliate program, that's the best, right? Because this is actually where we start with an affiliate program. A lot of people ask me that too. How much should I pay my affiliates? Well, if this was my program, if this is how much it cost me as the company, I would pay my affiliates probably $12 or $13 a lead. Because I know it cost me $15, and I'm going to pay my affiliates, you know, because then every sale I get from my affiliates, it's a big win for the company, right? I might even pay them $15 a lead, because that's what it's costing me blended. So measure your traffic, but more importantly, know your conversions, know your cost per conversion, and that cost per conversion number is really easy to calculate. The next deadly sin is being the sloth. And really, that's about being lazy. That sloth is one of the original 7 deadly sins. But the deadly sin of digital marketing is not doing enough testing. This was a campaign for a vitamin company. We had tested about 50 banners. Quick poll. So the first one is like, vitamins give me strength. Which vitamins give me energy? With the doctor, with the donut, I need vitamins because I eat poorly. Or why do you want vitamins? I eat poorly. Quick poll, which banner won? So the original banner, this was the original, got 1% click-through rate. Which banner beat the banner? How many votes for banner number 2? Which vitamins give me energy? About 3 people. How many people think the doctor beat it or the nurse? About 10 people. How many people think the donut? Always popular. And how many people think the pretty girl, why do you want vitamins? It was actually the pretty girl. She got twice as many clicks and did really well in conversions. But the moral of the story is we tested about 50, I'll take questions at the end. We tested about 50 banners here, okay? Oh, sorry, quick question. This is for a company that does stem cell injections. They just legalized this in the United States. So if you got knee problems, shoulder problems, and we thought we were doing great. We were sending 70 or 80 leads every day to the client from the Google and Facebook campaigns. But the problem was they had one intake person. She was calling people, emailing people. They weren't getting back to her. And when she did talk to people, they weren't highly qualified. So the first test is we added this preferred method, phone or email. And then we added one little checkbox. It was really the big difference maker in the campaign. Out-of-pocket expense for stem cell therapy typically runs around $5,500. You had to click I understand to go forward. So now we went down in leads. We got only about 20 leads a day. But now the intake person had time to get back to these people, and they were all highly qualified. They all understood you had to pay for this procedure. It wasn't covered by insurance. So lots and lots of testing. We're working on these Tony Robbins events. We've done about 50 different landing pages for this. And again, you can't be the sloth. You've got to have an aggressive testing schedule. And one of the best ways to make that happen is with a testing calendar. So you know every week we're going to do a test. And 1 week it could be a keyword test. 1 week it could be a media test. 1 week it could be an offer test. But if you schedule it out and you work proactively on the creative, you work on the offers, You work with legal, whatever you need to do to get that done, it works really, really well. The next deadly sin is don't mess with Mother Nature. And we know how true that is in the real world and in our lives, but really true on the internet. And for a long time, Google was Mother Nature. Like 80% of, if I was speaking in this room 7 or 8 years ago, like 80% of our whole world was Google. Like if you couldn't do paid ads on Google or SEO on Google, maybe 20% was your affiliate program. And the affiliates were getting their traffic from Google. And all of our hands were tied with Google. And if you messed up with Google, if you went afoul of their terms and conditions, you were in big trouble. One of my friends got in big trouble. This was a multi-million-dollar website. It was all from free Google traffic. He had 464,000 keywords ranked in the first 2 pages of Google. You searched almost anything, this website came up. It was the number 82 website in the world. And Google changed their algorithm for the first time in about 5 years. Made a major change in their algorithm. Now, for years they'd been saying to us, you got to have high quality content. You can't, be writing your articles in India and overseas, the Philippines for $5. You got to have quality content. Your site's got to work well. It's got to be fast. It's got to be aesthetically pleasing. He fell afoul of Google's policies and fell down to 17,000 listings. It was a multi-million-dollar business. It was virtually, crushed overnight. So the first Google algorithmic change was called Google Panda. And what Panda said is you got to have high quality. Your site's got to work well. It's got to be well designed. The next big algorithmic change was called Penguin. And Penguin was about links. And Google for years have been saying your site's highly valued if other sites link to your site. But don't buy links, don't trade links, don't cheat with bad links from bad websites. And all kinds of people in this room, probably some of you, were buying links from creepy websites. And overnight, this kind of thing happened to people who ran afoul of Mother Nature. So don't mess with Mother Nature. Stay within the ground rules. Someone I know very well had a diabetes business. They were doing Google advertising, Facebook advertising, taking all the good leads and selling those people diabetic supplies. Then they were taking their bad leads and loading them into a commission junction account. Affiliate traffic, making a few bucks. They got shut down by commission junction. Don't try to mess with Mother Nature. Here's a Facebook ad campaign. These guys were cheating, and their ad was disapproved. Their account was shut down. Weeks until they could get it back up. Traffic was off. So don't go for quick wins. In search engine optimization, we talk about the good strategies, the clean strategies, the Google approved strategies being white hat. The bad strategies are black hat. In the middle area is gray hat. Do not go into black hat. Don't go too far into gray hat. Good high quality, good content on your website. The next thing is you can't stay in your strategy. You've got to learn to pivot. So not pivoting is the problem. Has anyone ever heard of this amazing company called Odeo? No one? Oh, a couple, okay. It was one of the top podcasting companies about 10 years ago, right? And if you were in the podcasting, you could upload, and it had all this technology for podcasting. Their business was virtually wiped out in a day. Do you guys know what happened that day? What happened? Well, not quite. That day, iTunes announced free podcasts for everybody who has an iTunes account and free iTunes accounts, right? They were in the podcasting business, and all of a sudden, Odeo was basically wiped out as we knew it. But they had this little internal app they were using to send each other little text messages, and it was called TWTR internally, and they relaunched the company as Twitter, and they made this app available to everyone, and we all know today, IPO, multi-billion-dollar company, Twitter, right? But the important thing is you've got to be ready to pivot. Like a basketball player pivots, you've got to be ready to go in that other direction when it comes along. I mentioned the vitamin company. When we were doing these banners, they were selling vitamins, but we were doing opt-ins, right? So we used co-registration where people could opt in to do a free vitamin trial. But it cost us about $50. It was very, very expensive. So we pivoted a little bit. We got people to opt in for our newsletter, and we could get people to opt in for our newsletter for about 25 cents. And then as time went on, originally we would sell people the vitamins through the newsletter, but today it's a $100 million publishing company called LifeScript. Probably a bunch of people in the room use them for lead sources, right? So another friend of mine is a tennis coach, young guy, graduated college, thought he could teach people tennis on the internet with video tennis lessons. And his strategy was he'd bring people back to his website, and that's how he'd make money. Well, he came up with a new strategy, and he got people to his website, he built his list, and he was able to sell them digital courses online, including this one with the Bryan brothers, multi-million-dollar business. Okay? So pivot. The last one is crickets. And crickets is when your website hasn't been updated since 1999. So the quick strategy is, we learned it earlier, you write your articles, and you add your articles to your website for search engine optimization. You email them out through your e-newsletter. You add them to your blog. So cascading content is that content cascades like a waterfall. You add the same content, you customize it for social media, and you can produce a video, add it to your website, produce a slide share, and cascade it. So the final concept is that you wrote your first 10 blog posts. Your first 10 blog posts can now become an ebook, and that ebook can become a lead generator on your website. So now you can become an author by compiling the 10 questions people ask you the most and adding it to your website. So we're out of time. I'll stick around and answer some questions. Thank you guys. You've been a great audience, and thanks for participating.